All right. Well, first of all, it's time for a big reveal. I am now bald. So, unfortunately, age has caught up to me, and I couldn't live anymore with like a polka dot splatter of hair on the top of my head. It was time to shave it all off. But I'll tell you what, when I got ready to make the decision last night whether I should do this or not, I reached out to the people that I'm the closest to, my friends, my family, and I said, what do you think? What should I do here? I reached out to my Facebook community. I said, what should I do? Should I shave it all off? Should I just shave the top and leave the old ring around the head? What do I do here? And they gave me feedback about what I should do. They were honest and open, and they didn't all agree, and it was okay. And ultimately, I was responsible for making a decision for myself, and I made a decision. And I'm still weighing out, like, do I need to go even? Do I need to, as they say, bick it? Do I need to do the Mr. Clean look here? I don't know. But I'm still weighing that out, and I'm still going to talk to the people that are in my community. I'm still going to talk to my wife. And what in the world does this have to do with the Rudie Librarian and books and music? Well, today I want to talk about community, and I want to talk about the importance of community. And that's deeply related to books and music, because a lot of my community over the years has been found in this books and music. It's been found in connecting with people who are deeply passionate about books or deeply passionate about music, different genres, different bands, collecting vinyl, the things that I love and hold dear. And I need that community. We all need community, right? Famous book called No Man is an Island, right? You cannot be by yourself. It's not safe. It's not healthy. You need a community of people around you. And that applies for everyone. It doesn't matter if you're an extrovert or an introvert, right? You have to have somebody. And that community, it varies in size. It varies in dynamic, for sure. Some people, their community is just one or two really close friends, and that's all they need, and that's great. For some people, they need a group of people around them. That's also very important. But that community is so vital. And for me, I've always looked at community. One of my favorite stories is the Harry Potter series. I came into the Harry Potter series in 2007 when I moved to San Antonio, and we didn't have a community around us. We didn't have a ton of friends. We had a couple of friends that we worked with that we were so thankful for. Shout out to Josh Glenn from the Josh Glenn Experiment. But otherwise, we were in a lot of ways very alone. And I was like, I need a story. I need something that I can dive into. So I picked up the Harry Potter series. And man, I read that whole book series in like a week. Blew me away. Sitting in the bathroom floor with the shower running, reading about Dobby's death and weeping, those kinds of things. Like, that's where I was at with that series of books. But one of the things that especially attracted me, and I ended up, I moved back to the DFW area in 2008, went to school to get my degree to become an English teacher, and I had to write an honors bachelor's thesis about Harry Potter, and I wrote about friendship. And I remember in the dynamic of relationships in Harry Potter, what I especially valued is Harry had these two friends that were his closest friends that had his back whether he wanted them to or not. When he tried to protect them, when he tried to push them off to keep them safe, or because he felt like it was his problem, he needed to deal with it, they always were like, you don't understand. You don't have the choice. We're not going away. We're here for you. We got your back. And he needed that. He needed that. If he didn't need that, they would have given him a space, but he needed people to have his back and be there for him whether he wanted it or not. And they said, listen, we're going to fight with you, and if you're too tired or too, whatever, then we're going to fight for you. And so for me, I've tried to cultivate a couple of close friendships that have that kind of feel. Like, I've got your back, man. I am going to fight with you through the struggles of life, and if you're too weak and too tired, I'm going to fight for you through those struggles. And that's so vital. Beyond that, he had a little bit bigger group of friends. We always saw him traveling with the sort of 6 of them, sometimes 8, which was, going to be Harry, Ron, and Hermione, of course, but now we're adding Luna and Jenny and Neville and maybe the twins, right? Fred and George. And so that's like his group that is, he hangs out with on a regular basis. Like, not as close to some of those guys as he is to Hermione and Ron, but still very close friendships, And that's kind of his circle. And then there's a group that's even bigger that he was a part of, right? It's sort of these circles of relationship. And in the bigger group, this is where Harry starts to pour into others who don't know as much as he does. So this is the desire for us to become mentors for other people, that we would look for those who are new in a community, and we would bring them in and make them feel welcome, and we would help them to know what they need to know to be successful. So in some cases, this is where you're sharing your talents with other people, you're sharing your skills with other people, and it's so important and so necessary, right? And then beyond that, there's even a larger group that had some adults now, not just people his own age. And this is where Harry's got someone pouring into him. And really, I would say almost you have to have someone pouring into you before you can pour into someone else. But I think of the relationships that Harry had with Sirius and Remus and all that. So I'm going on and on. Obviously, this is connected to literature because, to me, I've seen it ideally represented in the Harry Potter series. But why am I talking to you about community? This morning I was listening to a podcast that I really like, and it was kind of an interview about the new 5 Iron Frenzy record. And in that new 5 Iron Frenzy record, it spends some time talking about how there's a song in there that talks about school shootings. And in that song about school shootings, first of all, 5 Iron had a song a long time ago about school shootings because one of the band members had a sister who was at Columbine when that shooting went down. And as they were talking about Renegades in the song about school shootings, they talked about how another one of their band members had one of their children that was at a school where there was a school shooting. And they talked about how, as sad as it is, that's not surprising because of the prevalence of school shootings in our country specifically. And it got me thinking about how a vast majority of violent crimes are committed by young men. A vast majority of mass shootings are committed by young white men. And I started thinking about how specifically, how I felt as a young man. Because I know for me, I felt very alone. I have a phenomenal mother and great sisters, but my father was out of the picture, and I really didn't have any men speaking into my life. And I was constantly inundated being, from Texas. I feel like this is especially true, at least it was true in my experience. I was constantly inundated by this specific idea of what a man is. And I wasn't any of those things. I'm not super into sports. I played sports when I was younger, but it was never something that I deeply loved. It was just kind of fun. I'm not... and I don't watch a lot of sports. I don't really hunt or fish or have a lot of desire to do that. I'm not into cars that much. I would go to like a men's conference at the megachurch that I was attending at the time, and they'd be like, "Here's the men's conference. Come on out, man, yeah!" And you get to the men's conference, and it was hunting and fishing and sports and guns and cars, and I'm just like, it's not me. And it made me feel very much like I wasn't a man, like I wasn't what I was supposed to be. It made me insecure. It made me kind of hate myself sometimes. And it wasn't until I got to high school, and I went to high school in the same district that I teach at this moment, at the really my rival school. I teach at the rival to the high school I graduated from. And in that high school that I went to, I met my choir director, which was a man named Mr. Dean. And Mr. Dean was the first man who I met who and really also an English teacher named Mr. Motley, who I didn't even have. But Mr. Dean and Mr. Motley, both of them, made me feel like it was okay to be a guy who was into literature and art and musicals and all those things. And I think that what we are missing in this country is a community of people that are coming around and supporting one another and pouring into one another and letting people know that you are awesome just the way that you are. And it took a little bit of Harry Potter to help teach me that, which is just one more reason why I so want to encourage you guys to pick up a book and fall in love with a book, because you will make connections and you will find truths that you need to hear that you're not hearing in the community that you live in, probably. So where am I going with all this? First of all, obviously, find a good book, pick it up. It can change your life. Harry Potter changed mine. Second of all, I want to express a deep just appreciation for the communities that I'm blessed enough to be a part of, including the book-loving community, including the community of music, punk, and ska, and vinyl collectors. I'm so thankful for that. I'm so thankful for the people who have poured into my life to help me to be a better person, and I hope that I can make them proud by pouring into young people's lives and letting them know that they're special and they're valued exactly the way that they are, and they're so deeply, deeply loved, and that they're okay. So I hope that if you're not a part of a community that you can find one, and just know too that you're always welcome here in the Rudie Librarian community. And so I hope that you have a really good day.